Am I the idiot for telling my husband I'd lose respect for him if he stopped working, even though I could afford it? I, female 30, have been with my husband, male 36, for like 10 years. When we met, we both had crappy jobs and always agreed it would be 50-50 us struggling together. Well, as of the last few years, particularly this last year, my career took off and my pay skyrocketed, and this will be my first year making 6 figures. It's really cool, and I've offered to take on a lot more finances, like more of the bills and paying for trips and fun things. But recently my husband made a comment about how soon he won't have to work at his job. Our kids are school age, so there is no need for a full-time parent, and I never agreed to that. So I very firmly said, I never dreamt of financially providing for a grown man. If you stop working, I will lose respect for you. It got very silent, and I asked if he understood, and we were on the same page, and he said yes. I know my husband's dream is to just do his art. He has always done this on the side while working, but has never made money, and he has always dreamt of a way to make that full-time. Letting him quit working while I pay for everything feels like leeching. At the same time, that doesn't sound supportive at all of me. Was I off? How do couples in these situations handle it? I mean, yes, I could technically sustain us on my own, but I feel like improving my situation is no excuse for him to step back in his. I'd even be okay with him going part-time, but to be honest, I would expect a lot more to be done around the house. But that also makes me feel like some patriarch from the 50s, even though I'm a woman. Am I the idiot for telling my husband I'd lose respect for him if he stopped working, even if I can technically afford it? Not the idiot. He didn't discuss it with you. He just started saying how much he was looking forward to not working anymore. Like it was a done deal. These are things that need to be discussed and agreed on. And you are well within your rights to say you don't want to be the sole breadwinner, even if you make enough to do so. That would be a deal breaker for a lot of folks. You're the idiot. Couples usually handle these situations by having adult discussions about it. It's not cool that he made the assumption he could completely stop working, but why are you treating him like a leech? You should have had an actual conversation with him about it instead of saying something so extreme. You said yourself he's always wanted to make his art full-time. It's not like he saw this as his ticket to sit on the couch and play video games all day. Is she taking advantage of her husband? Let me know in the comments. Now, would I be the idiot for keeping my baby away from my NIL? I'm a new mom of a now male 4 daughter, and 1 day a week my mother-in-law has cared for her so I can have a break and she can bond with the baby. She's a sweet woman and her heart is in the right place, but she hasn't been in contact with a baby in over 14 years. She has overfed my baby multiple times, causing the child to vomit all over herself and me having to up the amount in her bottle from 4 ounces to 7 ounces and still overfeeds her. I can no longer keep up with that amount since my daughter is breastfed and would be drinking 10 ounces in one sitting. My mother-in-law treats her like a doll, carrying her exclusively and never puts her down. She yells at the baby to stop crying instead of trying to soothe her, rarely changes her diaper, and keeps her awake for hours. My last straw was today when I took my daughter home. She could barely keep her eyes open enough to recognize me, and when she did, she struggled to smile. She looked miserable. I had to change her and had to peel off the overflowing diaper, revealing dried-up poop up to her belly button. The baby had not been changed all day. She was crying while I cleaned her up and bathed her. Afterwards, she completely passed out within seconds of me holding her. I dressed her fully asleep. I don't want to lose my break or take away that bonding time with her grandmother or ruin the relationship between my mother-in-law. But it's for the sake of my child that I keep her during that 1 day a week or only give fully supervised visits at least until she's older. Would I be the idiot? Edit. Yes, my husband knows, and is the reason why I stuck it out for so long. I'm not worried about losing my break, only about the relationship with mother-in-law. Not the idiot. You should stop the visits immediately. If you, as a parent, made your daughter lie in her poop for hours, you would be subject to a visit from the CPS at the very least. So why do you tolerate this? Getting a break isn't more important than your daughter's health. You're the idiot. That you let this happen to your child even once. What the actual frick? You need a break. Your child needs to not sit and poop all day, sleep, and not get screamed at for crying. It's appalling you let this happen more than once. You and your husband should be ashamed of yourselves. Not the idiot. Sending her back there would be knowingly exposing your child to abuse. Not changing a diaper all day can lead to UTIs, not to mention just how horribly uncomfortable your poor baby must have been sitting in her own poop all day. No more unsupervised visits for mother-in-law. Is this mother in the wrong? Let me know in the comments. Now, Am I the idiot for not taking my sister to the emergency room in my new car? Yesterday, my sister, 27, who is female and I, 31, was using a power washer and accidentally cut her leg, requiring 14 stitches. I'm not exactly sure how she managed to do this to herself, but this isn't the first incident she's had. She's frequently careless with power tools and often tries to do things herself when she shouldn't, leaving messes behind or getting herself hurt. I was in her neighborhood visiting my friend when the incident happened, and I guess she saw my car across the street because she called me and asked me to take her to the emergency room. Now I have a new expensive car with leather seats, very high-end. When I saw the state her leg was in, it was very messy. She didn't do a good job cleaning it up, and it would definitely ruin my car. I asked her where the keys were to her car and said I'd take her in her car, but she said that she dropped it off for maintenance that day and then started to get into my car. I said no, she should stay there, and that I'd find an alternative. I went over to my friends and explained the situation and asked to take his car. He's got a beat-up Toyota. He said no problem, and so I took it. I got my sister to the ER, and I even waited for her and took her home after. But on the way home, she told me I was an idiot for making her wait around when she was in pain, and there was no reason I couldn't take her to my car. I thought I found a reasonable solution, and she wasn't even waiting that long. I'm pretty annoyed with her because I didn't need to devote my whole day to caring for her, and she should be more careful when using these tools. Am I the idiot? Edit 1 for more info. I didn't call an ambulance because she didn't want me to. She didn't want to deal with them or pay a hefty bill, so she called me instead of 911. If she went through the effort to get a hold of me, she would have had an ambulance there if she wanted it. And plus, even after the car situation, I still got her to an emergency room faster than an ambulance would have. Time-wise, I really don't think grabbing towels and stuff from inside would have been much faster. My friend was just across the street, and his car already had supplies and towels and stuff in it because he was taking his car hunting. Hence, why I didn't think he'd care about the blood. I just thought that was a better all-around option. Edit 2 for an update. I will offer to pay my friend to detail his car. You're the idiot. 14 stitches sounds like a pretty serious wound, and those warrant medical attention as fast as possible. You could have gotten a blanket or a coat or pretty much a dozen other things to protect your car, in a fraction of the time it took you to go get your friend's car. Your priorities are out of whack, not the idiot. You might have been if it was a life-threatening injury, but it's not. Also, it was entirely avoidable and self-inflicted. She would have been pissed had you required her to pay for detailing afterwards too. Was he being too harsh on his sister? Let me know in the comments. Now? Am I the idiot for wanting my boyfriend to cancel a boy's trip to attend a wedding? Me, female 25, and my Beth, male 27, have been together about 1.5 years and live together. We moved to a new city together 6 months ago and have been struggling to make new friends here. Beth had been talking about going on a trip with friends from college for a while to relieve the stress from the new city and his job here that he doesn't like. This was fine with me, except that they booked it without telling me the dates first. I found out a few days after the air and the flights were booked that it was the same weekend as my best friend's wedding. This wedding has been planned for the entire time we'd have been dating, and I am a bridesmaid, so I expected him to have a general idea of when it was, but when I brought up buying flights for it, he said, "Oh poop, is that this year?" He texted his friends about the conflict, and they said that I was stupid for making him go to a wedding, and they would be mad if he canceled. Now they are refusing to reschedule their trip, and he is choosing to go to the cabin with them instead of the wedding. Edit. Aaron should be refundable 4 months out, and he is the only one flying. I told him this was unacceptable, because he was the one who messed up the dates and the wedding was a prior commitment, and more important than smoking pot in a cabin with his friends. I didn't expect for the fight to go this far, but he is saying I'm making him choose between me and his friends. My POV is that his friends' behavior is neither my fault nor my responsibility, and they are choosing not to reschedule when they could. At first, I was fine with him taking this trip another weekend, but now the fight has escalated and I don't like how his friends are treating me in this situation. I told Butt that they were immature losers that don't have real jobs and live with their moms, and if he chose them over me, then he wasn't mature enough to be in a serious relationship. He took this personally. / Now I am putting my foot down that if he doesn't go, we are breaking up. He says it's not fair for me to give him an ultimatum. Am I the idiot? Edit. We are SVP'd, and the save the date has been on the fridge since October, so he knew he was supposed to go, and when it was. When I say general idea, I mean when he was planning the trip, he should have known it was this summer, even if he needed to reference the date. He does know this friend and has stayed at her apartment overnight when we were in town. Also, she is my best friend. I would not expect him to go to just any wedding. I might have been fine if he never wanted to go to the wedding, but it is not okay to ditch me because something better came up. He will know at least 2 other people there, sitting together at reception. And since the wedding is in my hometown, we are staying with my family who he is close with. It's rude to me and the bride to back out after RSVPing. You're the idiot. There is no reason you can't go to this wedding by yourself. What are people so weird about this? Just do 2 different things and make everyone happy. The wedding party are your friends. He doesn't have an attachment to them, so why does he have to go? The cabin is his friends. He can go and enjoy himself while you are at a wedding enjoying yourself. Not the idiot. I'm all for separate vacations and have 0 issue with that. But as a couple, you don't unilaterally plan a vacation. You communicate and ask each other about dates. He made plans without even checking those dates and knowing that he had a very important date coming up. Plus, his friends gave him an ultimatum. He's choosing friends over his relationship, and in this case, it totally should be a relationship by friends. Is she overreacting? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for going off on my classmate and making her cry in front of everyone? My classmate, who is a woman in her mid-20s, is very ignorant about mental health. Unfortunately, the program is about 2 years old, so I, female 29, have to see her constantly, unless one or both of us drop out of the program. Last semester, I had panic attacks, enough to make me very physically sick for the very first time and missed classes for a week. My professors were understanding. My classmate tried to motivate me by saying she was anxious about classes but still showed up. I went off about how anxiety is not the same as panic attacks and she's not empathetic at all. This was in private. And well, I haven't had panic attacks since then, but I lost a foster pet due to a medical emergency on Monday. I'm grieving but doing relatively fine. My depression is acting up a little though. My classmate decided to comment about it yesterday and said how I looked depressed and need to cheer up in front of everyone. I looked dead in her eye and said I just lost a pet on Monday and have been diagnosed with depression by a licensed clinical psychologist. So thank you so much for the fake support and advice. I needed to hear that from someone who believes that panic attacks and anxiety are the same. My classmate started crying as my other classmates gave her looks and ran out of the class. She started DMing me through Discord and said how that's not appropriate, and I just said she shouldn't have dished something out if she can't handle someone doing the same. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. You went nuclear on her for no reason. She wasn't being malicious, and you could have gently explained that her comment is really not helpful, and that you're going through a lot right now instead of making a scene and embarrassing her in front of her peers. You're the idiot, and rather ignoring yourself. Panic attacks are absolutely associated with anxiety, to the point that the medical health profession uses the terms anxiety attack and panic attack interchangeably. And panic attacks are regularly caused by anxiety. Did she take things too far? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for giving my step-niece's gift to my niece? My brother remarried a few months ago. His new wife has a daughter, Sarah, who is around the same age as his daughter, Alina. My sister-in-law doesn't have a good job, so Sarah had a pretty tough life. Her birthday was about a week ago, so I decided to buy a laptop for her. I know she needs one for school and they can't afford one. I explained to Alina that I'm giving Sarah a better gift, not because I love her more, but because Alina has everything she needs and Sarah doesn't, and she understood. At Sarah's birthday, I gave her my gift, and she seemed very happy. However, I heard her bragging to Alina, telling her I don't love her. Alina kept telling me to shut up, but she kept going and I was furious. I asked Sarah to give the gift back and gave it to Alina. Her laptop was 3 years old, so she could use a new one. I told my brother that he doesn't dare take this away from my niece, and if he does, then he'd better remember to never ask me for any financial help, which he does regularly. My sister-in-law got extremely angry and called me an idiot and said I ruined her daughter's birthday. I told her her daughter ruined her own birthday, and this punishment is well-deserved. I will never sit here and watch someone bully my niece. My sister-in-law and her daughter think I'm an idiot, and I believe my brother agrees with them, but he doesn't say anything. Not the idiot. It's appalling that Sarah isn't grateful and realized how lucky she is to have a new aunt who cares enough to buy her an expensive gift. The bragging just made it worse. Don't give her anything good until she's learned her lesson, OP. You're the idiot. You explained to Sarah why you were giving Alina the laptop. Why didn't you talk to Alina about it as well? That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was taking it back. That's a total idiot move. You gave the gift, you don't get to take it back. Your third mistake was how you treated your brother. You are not the parents and you have no right to like you are. You should have told your brother and sister-in-law what you heard your niece Alina say and let them deal with it. Blending families with teenagers is a minefield, and you totally blew it.